Well, thank you. Thanks so much. Hi, everybody. My name is Melissa C. I'm a recovered compulsive overeater. I'm in New York, and yeah, really happy to be here tonight, as always. When I read this chapter, when I share in this chapter, I always think it's really important to kind of give a little background on who I am because this is a vision. This chapter is called like a vision for you, a vision for me. And I think before I need to know like what this vision is, what this new way of life is, it's kind of important for me to discuss like where it came from, where I came from that I require this sort of a vision for a life, you know? So, um, my entire life, my history is that all of my life, as far back as I remember, I was like owned by food and diets. I was always, always battling food and battling a diet. I think I was born with this disease, or at least with the well on the way to having it. I had this great potential for it. And in fact, in my family, the story is that my first words were more. It was more. And it was about my bottle, right? And all my early memories are all food related. Like all food related. I was a secret eater from the time I was a little girl because, my parents, being responsible parents that they tried to teach me portion control and self-discipline because they didn't want to deny me food entirely. So they were constantly like, as any good parent would be, they didn't just let me have my way in the pantry. They tried to give me normal portions, and that didn't work for me. It just didn't work for me. So I was constantly sneak eating, and then I was going on diets, and then I was swearing it off, and I would lose some weight only to regain it. And you know, at my top weight, I was over 300 pounds. I was suffering miserably. I had all the consequences, all the physical outward consequences of being a compulsive eater. I was morbidly obese. I had sleep apnea. I used to snore myself awake. I would lay in bed at night and I could hear my heart pounding in my ears. And I would be crying because I had such bad heartburn. I couldn't sleep. My blood pressure was out of control. My whole body hurt. My knees hurt. My joints hurt. My everything was hurting me. And I cried because I kept thinking, I'm gonna die. And I can't stop myself. And I've got children I love. And they were across the hall sleeping, and I had a husband I love, and I still do, right? And I was so scared that I was gonna drop dead in the middle of the night and they would find me like that. And yet, in as much pain as I was in and as much misery I was in, I would go downstairs over and over and eat more food. And that was what my old life was like, you know? And then thank you, God, for God, because God performed a miracle of healing in my life. And I was relieved, and I've been relieved, and I've lived in a normal sized body now for years. I don't feel that way at all anymore. And so here I am, right? Now I've got this vision. I worked the steps, and page 151 says this: for most normal folks, drinking means conviviality, companionship, and colorful imagination. It means release from care, boredom, and worry. It is joyous intimacy with friends and a feeling that life is good, but not so with us in those last days of heavy drinking. The old pleasures were gone. They were but distant memories, and never could we recapture the great moments of the past. So, normal people, by the way, don't just eat for nutrition. Like that's what it says here. Normal people eat for fun, they eat for intimacy, they eat from release from boredom or worry and care. What I came to discover is that part of my step one realization is, well, one, I'm not normal, right? Like clearly I'm not normal and I can no longer treat food like normal people do. It For me, it can't be a great big event. You know, it doesn't mean I don't like my food and I don't enjoy eating. Of course I do. But it's not this kind of event that they're describing. I don't engage in recreational eating. Normal people can hang around the dinner table. They can enjoy casual eating. And, they would have cocktail parties and happy hours. And normal people socialize with food almost, I would say, as if it's the background music. It sort of enhances the experience. Normal people have a few bites and they can still hear all the conversations that are going on around them and participate. But for me, right, and they eat to enhance the gathering. But when I engaged in that kind of eating, that very spontaneous, casual type of eating, that background music of the food, it gets so loud. It would get so loud that it was the only thing I could hear, and I could not hear anyone else around me. I could not attend to the conversations of the people right there with me. All I heard was the chatter in my brain about the food. Like, do you think you can get another bite without other people noticing how much you've eaten? Do you think you could have a little bit more? Was that enough? And did I eat too much? Like, I could never determine what I was supposed to eat. And that was the only thing I heard. And so it was a sad realization that eating socially, things like, just popcorn at the movies and spontaneous dinners out, an ice cream cone on the way home from the beach, those were something that I could no longer do. And it wasn't because some sponsor told me I couldn't, but it was because there was nothing social anymore about my eating. And I knew that before I came back to overeat. I knew that when I ate, it didn't feel very good. I never ate and stopped when it felt good. I ate until it no longer felt good. The disease, though, here's the thing, the disease would try to convince me by appealing to my sense of nostalgia, like my human desire to feel connection, whether it's to my culture, my family, my friends. It would say, well, this is a holiday. Of course you're going to eat it. Or, your aunt always makes that for you. Of course you want to eat it. Or, you know, um, it's it's part of what we do in our family. But my recovery informed me that I can't eat like that. And for me, eating was not social. It was really antisocial. I cannot use food as a means for connection and intimacy. I actually would disconnect and I can't feel close with the very people that are near me. In fact, one of my memories when I read this, I always remember going out to dinner with a very close friend who has experienced the breakup of a marriage. She was talking, she wanted to go out to eat with me. She was crying because her marriage was ending. And I vaguely recall her crying, but there was a bread basket on the table. And I ate a piece of bread and I heard every other word out of her mouth. All I heard was the bread. And I was taking piece after piece. And in my brain, I was thinking, rather than thinking, my poor friend, what can I do to help her? My selfishness was so extreme that it was, is she noticed? She's so upset. I bet she doesn't notice how much I'm eating. Like I was rejoicing at the upsetness so that I could eat more. And then I remembered thinking, ooh, she's probably going to want to get dessert. Like that's where my brain was, not about my friend, but food was my master. And it actually separated me from the people that I cared about. So then, how do I connect? Right? If this chapter is called A Vision for You, what's going to become of me? How am I going to connect with people? Like, I think sometimes this chapter, I have in parentheses, I could call this chapter, What Am I Supposed to Do Now? What now? Page 52, the first paragraph says, okay, yes, I'm willing, but am I to be consigned to a life where I shall be stupid, boring, and glum like the righteous people I see? I know I must get along without liquor, but how can I? Have you a sufficient substitute? So I did. I once thought that life without food, and for me, life without alcohol, because I can't drink either, would be dull. I thought I'd be stupid. I thought I'd be boring. I thought it would be like, I don't know, I'd be hanging out and worried, how am I going to fit in with all the other, I wrote here, all the other super cool New York suburban moms who drank wine and ate salsa and chips. Like, how am I going to hang out with other women? How am I going to hang out with the other moms? And I felt afraid of living without the food because I didn't have a sufficient substitute, but I was willing to do anything for me to get relief from the way that I was living before. I worked the steps. And what I found was that the substitute was a spiritual awakening. And it was far better than a substitute. A substitute is like just sort of equal, if not maybe slightly worse. This is way surpassed, much better. You know, only an addict, I want to say, only an addict, a compulsive overeater in the throes of the food, or maybe newly abstinent, actually believes that they're more exciting while they're eating. Like, how exciting was my life when I was lying on the couch, not wanting to go out, crying because nothing fit me, or sitting in my car in the dark, eating food with my hands like an animal that should have been eaten at a table. Like, only an addict would think that that was somehow more interesting and fun than not doing that. And so, what's going to become my substitute? Well, for me, it was my relationship with God. That was the real substitute, and it far surpassed. Page 152, the second paragraph says, yes, there is a substitute, and it is vastly more than that. So, guys, much better than just a mere substitute. It's a fellowship in Alcoholics Anonymous. We get a fellowship in this program. There, you're going to find release from care, from boredom, from worry. Life will mean something at last. So tonight, today, my life means something. I have a purpose. I have a mission. I first came to OA not because I was bored or worried or lacked imagination. None of those reasons. I didn't think my life was lacking meaning or purpose. I didn't even know. I came simply because for me, I was fat and I was miserable. And I knew that I needed to do something. And yet I couldn't do what I needed to do. Right. And that's why I came here. And I didn't think that it was a lack of living a satisfactory life. I didn't think that was my problem. And I remembered putting down the food and working the program and feeling lonely. I did feel lonely. And I felt unsure. How am I going to go away on vacation? How am I going to go on family camping trips? Vacations always meant really huge meals out. Camping was always marshmallows and eating all night around the campfire and drinking, right? And how could I even enjoy those events without food? Who am I going to be? And I discovered that life was much more enjoyable actually when food wasn't calling the shots, when food was not my master. I found out who I was going to be. And I found out that I was going to be useful and I was going to give rather than take. I was going to share the recovery that I found. Page 153, the first paragraph says, how can they rise out of such misery, bad repute, and hopelessness? The practical answer is that since these things have happened among us, they can happen with you, should you wish them above all else and be willing to make use of our experience. We are sure they will come. The age of miracles is still with us. Our own recovery proves that. I love the word miracles. To me, that is exactly what this program is. That's exactly what this is. I am a walking, breathing miracle. I believe that. I feel it deep down in my heart. And this is available for anyone, but there are two conditions it says. You must wish them above all else, meaning you have to want this and put it in front of your life. You have to put it in the forefront of your life. And you have to use the experience of others, which means following directions and examples, which is why we don't water down our course of action. I cannot make the directions easy and cut corners. This recovery that I've been given, freedom from the food and from broken thinking, relieved of obesity. I have let go of more than 160 pounds. I've lived in a healthy body with a healthy mind for years now. And if a friend calls me to talk about an issue they're having, I can hear them, even if there's bread on the table, even if they decide to order dessert. I can go on any kind of trip I want. I go all over the place. I have experienced a miracle. And a miracle is an act of God, right? And that is what this is all about. The 12 steps are a set of directions. It's a step-by-step guide, a recipe that in the end cooks up a miracle. Like that's what we get. You cook up a miracle. It's an invitation to God to enter our lives and not just take away our food obsession, but change us entirely. That's what it is. It's a complete willingness to transform. And I have witnessed this in my own life and in the lives of many others. And in fact, helping others to experience this miracle, that's now the mission. A vision for you is a direction for how to live now, which is we live the rest of our lives helping others to get well, right? And so, now in the text, we come to the part that I love. There's the story here about Bill and when he is really in a horrible situation. He is business dealings gone down terribly, and he is unsure how he's going to pay his hotel bill. And he's standing, in this hotel lobby. This is on page 153, to 154, that whole part. And he's thinking maybe he'll just go in there and have a few drinks, right? Just a few. And then it says this, his sanity returned and he thanked God. Selecting a church at random from the directory, he stepped into a booth and lifted the receiver. And I want to say, one of the sanest things that we can do is to recoil. That's when it says his sanity returned. The sanest thing we can do when life is getting us worked up, when problems knock on the door, it's not to go marinate in our problems. It's to do this. We go find someone to help. So when you are living in life's problems, our vision, our mission is go find someone else to help. And this story is a sharp contrast. There's a story about Fred and what happened with him on page 41. He had a business dealings and they went well, but he actually drank. And the difference between the two of them was the spiritual experience, because Fred did not have a spiritual experience. But Bill remained sober. And it actually turned out to be a wonderful thing that his business dealings didn't go so well, because in his despair, he reached out and wound up as a result meeting Dr. Bob. And to me, this is evidence that I don't really know what's best for me. Part of my vision is recognizing I'm not always going to get my way. And when I don't get my way, rather than curse God, I ask God to help me be useful, to show me how to be your agent, show me how to be, that be your representative. And, I found out that my disease of compulsive eating wasn't such a bad thing. It was actually a gift, because for me, I don't know the way that I was living that I would have had a hunger for God. But because the fact that I had this problem that I could not solve, it forced me to finally admit I was in trouble, and it was a gift because the pain of morbid obesity opened me up to forming a relationship with God. You know, on page 155, it talks about Bob's predicament. You know, it's the story we're going to find out about Bob. And really what I want to say is it describes powerlessness and unmanageability. That you can have all the painful consequences and a strong desire to stop and yet still be unable. You know, in the next paragraph on page 155, it says that Dr. Bob agrees that no amount of willpower he might muster could stop his drinking for long. Because for us, my vision does not mean I get more willpower. Willpower is an insufficient power source. It's a power source that runs out just when you need it most. It's no longer there. A spiritual experience was absolutely necessary. And he thought that the price was too high, that the things that he had to do for this spiritual experience, that he was afraid of doing. He was afraid of losing his reputation. You know, and I want to say that in my vision, this new vision for me, the way that I live my life, I can't really be overly concerned with my reputation. I have to be more concerned about my integrity. I have to live in agreement with what I believe God would have me live rather than be stuck on what others think about me. You know, my vision, the vision that's been here for me, is that I am no longer the president of the Melissa C. Public Relations Department. You know, my job is no longer to make sure all of the universe thinks wonderful things about me. My job is to try to live as closely as I can to what I believe God would have me do. And sometimes that means we have to do hard things, right? You know, there's one part I want to get to because it's on page 157, and then I'm going to kind of scooch on over and let Janet pick up. But Dr. Bob and Bill, you know, together, once Dr. Bob, you know, did things. Okay. So, you know, um, I'm gonna take a second because, you know, so long as my reputation, I think this is important here because that was something that Dr. Bob really struggled with. And he wanted so much to preserve what other people think about him. And I'll tell you that when I make other people's opinion of me my master, it's a moving target because there's always going to be another person with another opinion. And I will never be able to satisfy all the world, right? My main mission, like Dr. Bob's here, was that we have to face our problems squarely, that God might give him mastery. So we don't master our food addiction on our own. God gives it to us. But first, we have to trust God and we have to clean house, regardless of what the consequences of owning up to the things might be. I've had to make amends for things I was terrified about my own reputation. I had to tell a coworker that I had stolen candy from her. It was humiliating. I thought she's going to tell everybody. But I knew that I needed to do it because what mattered more to me was my relationship with God. And I wanted so much to live in agreement with what God had in store for me. I don't know whether she told anyone else. She may have told the world. She may have told no one. It is no longer my business. It just doesn't matter anymore. You know, when I see that person, I can look her in the eye. I'm okay with it, you know. Dr. Bob and Bill went on helping others together. And that's our vision here. Page 157. Here it is. There's a part, it says, put him in a private room. We'll be down. 2 days later, a future fellow of Alcoholics Anonymous stared glassily at the strangers beside his bed. Who are you fellows? And why this private room? I was always on a ward before, said one of the visitors. We are giving you a treatment for alcoholism. Hopelessness was written large on the man's face as he replied, oh, but that's no use. Nothing would fix me. I'm a goner. The last 3 times I got drunk on the way home from here, I'm afraid to go out the door. I can't understand. And I think one of the things that is so important from this reading is how they treated this man. They took care of him. They put him in a private room. Remember in the chapter Working with Others, we're told to be patient with people and remember that they're ill. So they did not send him off to go sober up on his own. Sometimes I hear people say, get 2 days. I have to get 2 days. Like as if 2 days is some sort of a magic, I don't know, medicine that's then going to make you able to receive help. And that's not what this says. This says, like, he was a drunk. Yes, he had to be cleared up because alcoholics, it's a little bit different from food. This is where it's different. Yeah. Did I need to be like not, eating in the moment? Yes. But let's also remember when Ebby came to see Bill, Bill was actually drinking. He was in the midst of drinking, and Ebby still carried the message to him. He still carried the word to him. And so when I read this, they took care of him. They did not abandon him. He was cared for in the hospital. Now, when they came back 2 days later, it was because he was cleared out from his alcoholic stupor, right? This was a man that was like busting up the place, that was attacking people. Yeah, they needed him to sober up enough so that he wasn't going to physically attack them. And, when struggling people reach out, I think it's important that we remember that we help them. We talk to them. We don't tell them, I don't anyway. When someone calls me and they're struggling in the food, I don't say, oh, how long have you been abstinent for? Okay, yeah, call me in 2 days and I'll talk to you. I want to offer them hope right there in the moment, and so he was not cheered up though. Like they did it very specifically. When someone calls me and they're eating compulsively, I don't say, oh, thank goodness you called me. Now it's going to get all better. That's not what he did. We don't tell people it's going to be all right. The directions for how to carry the message, it's very clear. We emphasize the hopelessness and the mental twist. And this is where people begin to identify. They hear themselves in our stories of torment. He identified and said, yes, that's me, the very image. You fellows know your stuff all right, but I don't see what good it will do. You fellows are somebody. I was once, but I'm a nobody now. And from what you tell me, I now know more than ever I can't stop. And at this, both the visitors burst into laughter. And the future fellow from Alcoholics Anonymous said, like, damn little to laugh about now that I can see. And I think, okay, why were they laughing? What were they laughing about? And I think partly it's because this guy is seeing them as somebody's now. Like, they were just, they were just like him. They had just gotten the treatment sooner. We are no better than the people that we're helping. And I think there was something ironic, right? That they're also happy because he's taken his step one. He's admitting his powerlessness. And that's the starting point. Until that happens, nothing can happen. And I want to say, like, one of the greatest things I get is when I speak to somebody who I can hear is done. It's like I always say it's like they're at that sweet spot, that perfect spot where they're really ready to receive direction. And I think they were happy because they could hear that. Within a few days, he went from this I prayed to God on hangover mornings and sworn that I'd never touch another drop, but by 9 o'clock, I'd be boiled as an owl. The next day, the prospect found him, they found the prospect more receptive. He'd been thinking it over. Maybe you're right, he said. God ought to be able to do anything. And then he added, he sure hadn't done much for me when I was trying to fix this booze racket alone. And on the third day, the lawyer gave his life to the care and direction of his creator and said he was perfectly willing to do anything necessary. So he went pretty quickly from steps 1 to 2 to 3. And we're told he never drank again. And when I read this, I think, yeah, yes, of course, God ought to be able to do anything. But no, he didn't seem to do it when I was trying to fix it on my own because I couldn't. This is not an independent study. This is not here, go off and do this all on your own, right? Recover on your own, do the whole thing on your own, just you and God. For whatever reason, this program is meant to be worked, yes, to form a relationship with God, but it needs to be done in community with others. That's why it talks about the vision, and it talks about part of the vision as a fellowship. And I think it's a dangerous thing for any one of us, I want to say, to think that we can go it alone. I sometimes hear people who have been recovered who have no sponsor. And I have a sponsor. My sponsor has a sponsor. I call my sponsor. I have a regular, it's different than it was in the beginning. I have a weekly call with my sponsor and we talk. She knows all of me. She is not afraid to tell me the truth and to give me good direction. And I think that's important here. You know, we're not meant to do this alone. And, you know, page 161, the second paragraph says this: being wrecked in the same vessel, being restored and united under one God, with hearts and minds attuned to the welfare of others, the things which mattered so much to some people no longer signified much to them. How could they? You know, this paragraph clearly defines what it means to have a spiritual awakening. That the things that used to interest me, that the things that used to fulfill me and make me feel excited, they're not the same anymore. You know, and if something that sets me apart from other people as well. So yes, normal people can eat socially, but normal people, they don't have to help others in order to survive. They might do it. It might be a nice thing, but you know, you may have another health condition, but in order to remain well from it, you don't have to help other people who have that same health condition. It might be a nice thing to do, but it's not an essential component. And for me, it is. In order for me to survive, I must, right? But I also see that today, it's the greatest gift I could have received. I cannot draw closer to others by breaking bread together. Doesn't work for me. But I undoubtedly draw closer to others by being of service to them. You know, when I say that a friend can call me and I can hear everything they say, I really can. And I also know part of my vision is I don't necessarily have all the answers to tell them what to do, but because of my relationship with God, because I know that God performed miracles in my life, when a friend tells me about a problem in their life, I really can offer them hope because I'm a believer in miracles, not just for people in this problem, you know, and have this problem, but I believe in a God that performs miracles in many other ways as well. It says, page 162, the third paragraph, thus we grow. And so can you. Though you be but one man with this book in your hand, we believe and hope it contains all you will need to begin. We know that what you're thinking. You're saying to yourself, I'm jittery and I'm alone. I couldn't do that, but you can. You forget that you have just now tapped a source of power much greater than yourself. To duplicate with such backing what we have accomplished is only a matter of willingness, patience, and labor. So when I read this, jittery, nervous, and unable to relax, I have to say when I'm jittery, mostly it's because I'm consumed with the future. And it's because I'm consumed with myself, how the future's going to go for me. Feeling jittery and alone and isolated in his sobriety. And I have felt this way, you know, both in the food and out of the food. But if I live in agreement with my primary purpose, which is to carry the message to the still suffering, then I don't need to feel jittery and alone. I know that when I'm afraid, I need only to turn towards my Creator and I'm comforted. I have all the strength I need. When we say that we're afraid, to duplicate this, to duplicate what? To maybe start meetings, to work with others, to maybe take an active, role in your already established meetings, and this thinking like, I can't do that. Well, you can, if you remember that it's not you, that's the power source, that you've tapped into a power source, and your job is to keep the channel open. It's like this. It's a stream that flows. We receive it from God, and then in order for it to continue to flow freely, we have to open up the gate and let it flow to others. If we don't, if we only keep it for ourselves, it becomes a swamp. And if we don't open up to receive it from God, then it dries up and it becomes a dry pond, right? It becomes nothing. So page 164 says, still you may say, but I will not have the benefit of contact with you who write this book. We cannot be so sure. God will determine that. So you must remember that your real reliance is always upon him. He will show you how to create the fellowship you crave. I want to say this book is not shy about where we're getting this power from. It is very clear. This is all the way at the end of the instructional part. And it's telling you over and over, your real reliance is upon God. That this entire program, right, is about forming that relationship. That's the purpose of the text. Anyone who is a studier, I say I'm a practitioner of this book, if they're leaving out that part, that's the purpose of this book. It's sort of like if I'm going to make a recipe for something and I don't tell you, oh, this is what you're going to get at the end, I didn't follow that recipe. That's not this recipe. This is the recipe, right? To get that. So, yeah, I love this. God's going to show you how to create the fellowship you crave. And I love this. God determines who comes in my life and who leaves my life. And ultimately, my reliance is always on God. People are people. I need fellowship, and God provides me with the fellowship that I crave. And I think it's funny, the word crave used here, because crave was always, I craved the food, right? I craved the sugar. I craved the extra. I craved the more. And today, what is it that I crave? I crave connection. I crave a fellowship. And God's going to show me how to do it. No matter what problems I've experienced, God has always put the people in my life who help me through these hard times. He has always given me the fellowship that I've craved. God also provides me with the people who I can pass my experiences on to. How has this happened? Through willingness, patience, and labor. Willing to be honest, willing to do the work, willing to say yes when someone asks you to do some sort of a service, not worshiping my reputation, not worshiping public approval, honest about my past and about my present, and patient. developing the ability to tolerate the discomfort I feel when I have to wait, delaying gratification and allowing life to unfold rather than trying to force the outcome. And labor, right? Labor. This program, it is working with others, working by giving service, but the work becomes irresistible. The work really is a great joy. One of the things that I always love to think about, especially with this idea about the fellowship, because here we are in this group right now. You guys are my fellows. There's 133 of us here right now. And I want to tell you that God really did, for me, he really did create the fellowship I crave, that I have all of this. I'm going to tell you how it kind of happened for me, that I had a sponsee years ago who Janet had the same sponsee many years ago. And this person, Janet was getting speakers for her local meeting in New Jersey. We did not know each other at all, never spoke. And this person had said to Janet, knowing that she was looking for speakers, said, "Oh, I know someone who would come and speak at your meeting," and gave Janet my number. And Janet called me. And, one, she was doing service. Janet was doing service. I was doing service. I said, yes, of course, I'll come. I drove out to New Jersey. I got there early. Janet met me early. And while waiting for the meeting to start, she said, "Would you take a 10 step?" And I said, "Sure, I'll take a 10 step." And out of her mouth came the exact problem that I was experiencing in my life. I get the chills. It was like God had orchestrated someone who was walking through the exact same thing as me. And that is, I do believe that God has a hand. He chooses people to put in my life all the time. And I've had this exact experience with others, that invariably someone who will ask me to sponsor them has no idea that I have walked through the same particular problem, whether it's with my child, with a mother-in-law, same thing. It's like when we say yes, we really do get exactly the fellowship that we need. Page 164, our book is meant to be suggestive only. We realize we know only a little. God will constantly disclose more to you and to us. Ask him in your morning meditation what you can do each day for the man who's still sick. Yes, morning meditation, essential component. The answer will come if your own house is in order. Tells me I have to consistently do inventory. I have to meditate. But obviously, you cannot transmit something you haven't got. What is it that we're looking to transmit? A relationship with him. It says, see to it that your relationship with him is right, and great events will come for you and countless others. This is the great fact for us. Abandon yourself to God as you understand God. Right? Surrender it all. When we say we surrender, what are we surrendering to? We're surrendering to God. We abandon ourselves to God. Admit your faults to him and to your fellows, right? We do that in our fifth step. We admit our faults, and then we continue to do it in our 10 steps. Clear away the wreckage of your past. We clean it up. Give freely of what you find and join us. We shall be with you in the fellowship of the Spirit, and you will surely meet some of us as you trudge the road of happy destiny. May God bless you and keep you until then. So God will reveal what I need to see and what my path is to be if I ask him, which means if I pray, and I pray how I can help others. If I stay close to God, I'm promised great events. If I abandon myself to God, meaning I give myself, I offer myself, I admit my faults, I clear away my wreckage, and I give freely. This is the path so that I can trudge the road of happy destiny. And the word trudging means that it's deliberate, it's slow, it's steady, it's not skipping and it's not dancing, it's not a sprint. When I read that, it lets me know that I can live happily through hard times as well. And that is my experience. I've continued to live a life, a full life in recovery. I've had losses, I've had trials, I've had pains, I've had great joy. And though, even when times are tough, I no longer suffer. That is our vision. And with that, I pass. Thanks.